Question 3. Discuss your considerations and response individually and in aggregate for audit findings 1 and 2. Assume final materiality is set at 325,000. Okay, so guys, I don't like you to carry on from your previous question, but having concluded that our materiality was around 300,000 in the previous calculation should make you feel quite comfortable with question 3. But sometimes they will put a ridiculous materiality here now for you. So don't go back to question 2 now and go, why didn't I get 325? Or let me go change mine to 325. You get marks for following the steps for the calculation above. Okay, so move off from question 2. You are focusing now on question 3. They've given you a materiality, so I don't have to worry. Don't use your calculation. Use what they have said. So I've got to discuss the considerations, mine because of each finding, and then give a response for each on their own, and then in aggregate. Okay, so my first step is going to go to these findings and see what I identified in the reading time to then be able to say, yes, I did consider this from reading this. That's what I'm going to put down. So audit finding 1, the non-current assets, I found that there was a misstatement. And I said because they haven't recorded it at the lower of the recoverable amounts and carrying amounts. They've recorded it at carrying amounts. Okay, so now my findings are going to be getting to this conclusion, and then discussing now the misstatements, whether it's quantitative, qualitative, and following my misstatements analysis process. So I'm going to start by ultimately proving there was a misstatement because that is what I considered through reading this information. So I'm doing question 3 and I'm going to start with PPE on its own, and I'm going to say IFRS requires PPE to be recorded at the lower of carrying amounts and recoverable amounts. And I'm going to say the PPE has been recorded at carrying amount of 24870 when the recoverable amount is 23550. Therefore, not recorded at the lower. So I've now proved. So now I can say PPE is therefore overstated by 1320 and impairment loss understated by 1320. There's therefore a misstatement. Okay, is it quantitatively material? Misstatement of 1320 is quantitatively material because it exceeds final materiality of 325. Is it qualitatively material? Yes, this is qualitatively material. because why? There's non-compliance with IFRS, or it affects key ratios like your liquidity and solvency. Okay, so it is qualitatively material. It is a factual misstatement. There's no doubt. They've said this is the recoverable amount, this is the carrying amount. There isn't a calculation where they've gone with the recoverable amount and then we've used our own judgment to come to a different one, and the misstatement is because ours differs from theirs. They've given us the recoverable amount and the carrying amount, and they have not recorded the assets at the lower. And so it's a factual misstatement. It's not pervasive because it is limited to PPE and impairments. But by them not changing this, there is a disagreement with management. So that's now my considerations. What do I need to do? What would my response be? Well, my first response is going to be to request them to make an adjustment. And it's a simple adjustment: debit impairment loss, credit accumulated impairment loss, 1320. They have asked for our response in aggregate. And guys, that means ultimately we would be looking at misstatements in aggregate. So I have to assume they aren't going to make the adjustments here. And so individually, I want to give a response for this misstatement. So I'm going to say, if they don't adjust, then this misstatement would result in a qualified opinion, because I've proved it's not pervasive, but it is a material misstatement. Okay, then I move on to audit finding 2. And the notes that I'd made is that they're trying to mitigate this going concern risk. I've said that there is a post-reporting date event, and I've questioned, is it adjusting versus non-adjusting? I've said what it looks like has happened is that they have adjusted from current to non-current, but that means they affect liquidity. And then I've gone and I've said there is a misstatement. And that misstatement is a concern because they are no longer liquid, which indicates potential reckless trading, unable to pay their debts as they fall due, which could be a reportable irregularity. So this is where lots of marks are obviously going to come, because once you prove a misstatement, you can then go and prove your reckless trading and a reportable irregularity. So what is the misstatement? There is a post-reporting date event that is actually non-adjusting, but they have gone and adjusted so that they are in a better liquid position, a cash flow position. And so ultimately this misstatement shows reckless trading, because if they didn't adjust, they would be reckless trading. And they don't want to show that they are reckless trading. Okay, so there's intention behind this adjustment. So the first thing first, I'm going to prove that you need to record the events as they should be. Then I'm going to prove there's a post-reporting date event. And then I'm going to prove that it is a non-adjusting post-reporting date event. I'm then going to show that they did adjust so that they appear to be in a better position, which brings them to a liquid position, which had they not adjusted the way they should have, they wouldn't be in a liquid position. So this adjustment is reckless trading. So I'm going to say, IFRS requires that financial statements reflect the events of the current period. Okay, I'm going to say there has been a post-reporting date event because the restructuring or reclassification of the loan took place on the 25th of May and year end is 30 April. As soon as I say there's post-reporting, I always get a theory mark for discussing that there's two types. There are two types. We've got adjusting, where conditions present at year end, and non-adjusting, where conditions arose post year end. Okay, in this case, there were no conditions present at year end that ABBA Bank would extend the loan facility. And therefore this is a non-adjusting event. They have adjusted management and therefore there is a misstatement because non-current liabilities are overstated by 2500 and current portion of long-term or loans is understated. Now I need to prove if the misstatement is material. So this is quantitatively materially misstated. Because 2.5 exceeds final materiality of 325. It's qualitatively materially misstated. Because, and guys, it's in this case that you now want to prove the big concern, the fraudulent concern here. So I'm going to say it's qualitatively because you've got non-compliance with IFRS. However, more importantly, it looks like it is fraudulently reclassified in order to meet liquidity requirements. So yeah, for key ratios. So I can say there's intention to defraud or to appear in a better cash flow. It's factual. There's no doubt. This is a non-adjusting and they have adjusted. This is a disagreement with management. They think they should be adjusting. We don't think they should be adjusting. And yeah, guys, you can argue either way. You can say that it is limited to my loans, therefore it is material and not pervasive. However, if you want to discuss the fact that you feel this could indicate that management lack integrity and therefore there could be more materially misstatements, you could conclude that this could be pervasive. Okay, so I'm going to request the following adjustments. Debit, long-term loan, credit, current portion of loans. And then I need to follow through if they don't adjust. I have got fraudulent material misstatements. I have got a potential reporting requirement in a reportable irregularity. And guys, irrespective if they do or don't adjust, I would need to report this to IRBA, and then I could say they have adjusted subsequently. So let me cross this out here and go. There's a reportable irregularity. Because, and now I prove the definition. There's an unlawful act or omission, and that is the either you want to say non-compliance with the Companies Act in the form of reckless trading, or you just want to show it's the incorrect classification of the loans by management. This is the CFO who has done the reclassification, and it results in or has caused a material, financial loss to the stakeholders of the company. And I can say, yes, there could be penalties for non-compliance with the Companies Act, or they could have to or be required to cease trading. That is the penalty for reckless trading. So that's a huge material financial loss. Okay, is it fraudulent? Yes. It's fraudulent financial reporting. They're intending to show that they're liquid when essentially they are not at that point. And it's a breach of fiduciary duty. The CFO has not acted in the best interest of the company. Therefore, there is a reportable irregularity. And we therefore need to report this to IRBA. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the steps in reporting. However, from here, what needs to happen? I now need to discuss if they don't adjust. So if they don't adjust, then I'm going to issue a qualified opinion because I've got a material misstatement that is not considered pervasive. And now I need to do aggregate. So aggregate is if there's no adjustments, I'm going to say there is material and pervasive misstatements because the following are materially misstated. Impairments, PPE, non-current loans, and current loans. And as a result, I now need to give an adverse opinion. I'm going to have key matters. Referencing the fraud, because that is a significant matter. I'm also going to have and include a paragraph on other legal and regulatory requirements, referencing the reportable irregularity. And guys, if at this point you don't have enough marks, then your response, you're going to put through your full reporting of the RI to IRBA. But because it's not quite addressed at this point, you wouldn't have all the marks given for there. Okay, let's go have a look at the solution.